Welcome back to Brothers Talking Sports. Today we're here for NFL 2025 predictions. We're going to go over awards. We're going to go over the Super Bowl. We're going to go over conference game. Ez, how are we doing today?
I am doing good. It is a nice Sunday afternoon. A little busy today, but we're doing this pretty early and get rolling in the afternoon.
All right, let's get rolling here. Let's kick it off with the MVP. Okay, no, start it. There we go. MVP odds here for the 2025 season. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen at the top, followed by Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and four other QBs here. So this is a QB award essentially at this point, the MVP. I mean, the MVP really hasn't gone to anybody else outside of quarterbacks in the past couple of years, so it's going to be another quarterback. As when you look at this list, is this pretty accurate for the odds? I mean, this looks like just about what I would go to.
Yeah, the top five, I'm not surprised at all. I'm a little surprised Jaden Daniels is as high as he is. I think he's going to take a slight step down this year. Jalen Hurts, I'm good with there. Justin Herbert, a little surprising. Baker Mayfield, I think maybe a little higher, actually. And then we'll see how CJ Stroud does. But I'm surprised Saquon didn't sneak in the bottom of the list.
Yeah, well, this is only the top, 220, so, plus 220, so anywhere around there. So, that's that list. All right, let's go on to our MVP. I'll start first here. My MVP for 2025 is Joe Burrow. I have Joe Burrow in this offense going essentially what Peyton Manning did, throwing close to 5,000 yards, having a bunch of touchdowns this year. I'm not sure. The problem is I'm not sure how many games they're going to win, but I know that Joe Burrow is going to throw for a bunch of yards as long as T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are healthy this year, and their offensive line is, I guess, around 15 ranked in the league in pass protection, because as long as they give Joe that, I think Joe Burrow is going to light it up this year, have one of the best seasons of his career this year. I'm not sure how many games they're going to win because of their awful defense, but I think Joe Burrow is going to have an incredible season. As your MVP...
I agree with you in the sense of Joe Burrow will have an amazing year. My MVP pick is Josh Allen. I think he goes back-to-back. He does it with his legs again. He does it through the air again. He has another incredible year and just beats out Joe Burrow in a very close race just because one team's in the playoffs and one team is not. Most valuable player is how much value that team has, and the Bills would not be a playoff team without Josh Allen.
Yeah, but I think you also have to look at the same way as Joe Burrow won't be a top the Bengals won't even be a top 15 team without Joe Burrow. They won't even be competitive without him. So I think there's a lot to say.
Yes, but they're still losing games.
No, I get it. But at the same time, I really think that Joe Burrow, I really think Joe Burrow is going to have an incredible year this year. So I think he's going to win it this year. I think he's going to get one eventually, and I think this is it. All right, let's move on here now to the Offensive Player of the Year. There's a lot of notable names on here. Honestly, I think it will go to some... I don't think... Even though... Okay. Saquon, Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Puka, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, and Christian McCaffrey. Those are all the guys up there. I think there's an argument for any of these guys. It's really hard to say that Saquon's going to win it back-to-back years. I mean, that doesn't really happen very often, that a player wins Offensive Player of the Year back-to-back years. Jahmyr Gibbs was my answer, the guy that I really wanted to pick. But I think that the problem with Jahmyr Gibbs is that he gets too many touches stolen from David Montgomery. And I just think that they're going to keep rolling with the two-back train this year, and they're going to split a lot of carries. As anything else on this list here that stands out to you?
No, I completely agree. Literally could go to any guy on this list. It's a coin toss. I agree with the Jahmyr Gibbs thought. I initially looked at him and was like, yeah, that's my pick. And then thought about it. You're right. It's exactly what you said. David Montgomery is going to snag a few touches, snag a few end zone touchdowns in the red zone, that short yardage. And then similar, maybe Jamar, you could have the same argument of, T. Higgins this and T. Higgins that. But we'll get into our picks. I do think a receiver will win this year, not a running back.
I also have a receiver. All right, let's go on to my awards here. My Offensive Player for 2025 is Nico Collins. Nico Collins was having a great year before his injury happened last year, and then he came back and still had a really productive season for the Texans. If this Texans offensive line, again, can be comparable for them, CJ Stroud doesn't have a lot of guys outside of his two rookie wide receivers in Jalen Higgins and Jalen Noel. But They also still no Tank Dell from them. The running back room and Joe Mixon, who's been battling stuff, with in court, and then their Nick Chubb. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot to Nico Collins. I think this is his year. I just worry that I'm not sure if he can get to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson level because I just don't think he's that talent. So I'm not sure if he can get there to that point and get that many yards and catches. But I'm going to go Nico Collins anyway.
I like your pick. I was a little surprised, but he is on the list. He's a very ballsy bet, but I took the safe pick with Jamar. I think he's on his own level. Him and JJ are the 1 and 2. No question there. No question to ask. I think the only reason Justin Jefferson's going to have slightly worse of a year is because of the quarterback situation in Minnesota. You have a rookie quarterback who was coming off an injury compared to Joe Burrow, who, like you said, could have an MVP caliber season, throwing to his guy Jamar. Safe pick. I'm surprised he's not favored over Saquon, actually.
Yeah, listen, I get it, but Saquon had an incredible year last year. I think he's got to be at the top of the list, and then Jamar is a really close second. All right, let's move on here to the Defensive Player of the Year. You got Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, Max Crosby, Will Anderson, Nick Bosa, Jared Verse, Jalen Carter, and Trey Hendrickson. Anything here?
I think the top 5 guys it's going to be between. The list falls off a little bit when you look into Will Anderson. Nick Bosa is a great player, but I think it's really into the top 5 guys and who plays the best. I was surprised to see Jared Verse, but knowing how well he played last year, I'm not surprised he's on here. And Trey Hendrickson is kind of a big question mark.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
Same thing with Micah Parsons there. I mean, we don't know whether he's going to suit up week 1, so it'll be interesting to see. All right, let's look at it, though, now. My 2025 Defensive Player of the Year award prediction is Nick Bosa. I think Nick Bosa has a bounce-back year from the past couple of years. He gets Robert Saleh back this year. This defensive line is not the best, so I'm a little worried that he'll create too many double teams and not get as many sacks. But I think Nick Bosa this year with Robert Saleh back, I hopefully think that he's going to get enough sacks to beat out all the other guys and win this award.
I went with TJ Watt here. I think Nick Bosa is a smart pick. It's a little risky just because, like you said, his defense around him is not great. But that's why I went with TJ Watt. His defense is going to be solid, and then you have one of the best pass rushers in the league in TJ Watt leading the charge there. I think he's going to have a monster season. He's TJ Watt. The floor for him is a top 3 pass rusher in the league, and his ceiling is a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I don't mind the TJ Watt pick. I think that's probably one of the safer picks. Him or Myles Garrett would be like the 2 safer picks, the 2 safest picks. So I really don't mind that at all. I wanted to try to go out of the blue because it's normally especially last year, I don't think anybody expected Pat Surtain to win the Defensive Player of the Year. So I think that it's smart to go with somebody outside of the blue, especially for the Defensive Player of the Year. But you definitely have to pick a pass rush or an elite corner, which was Patrick Surtain last year. So, all right, let's continue on here to Comeback Player of the Year. You have a lot of candidates here. You have Dak Prescott, Aiden Hutchinson, Christian McCaffrey, Trevor Lawrence, J.J. McCarthy, Nick Chubb, Daniel Jones, Stephon Diggs, and Max Crosby. As my 2025 Comeback Player of the Year is Aiden Hutchinson. I think this is the obvious one here. I think Aiden Hutchinson, he came back from a big injury last year. I still think he's having an incredible year last year. I mean, I think he had 8 sacks in a 4 or 5 games last year. He was playing really incredible before that horrific injury that he did have. So I think Aiden Hutchinson is a clear-cut favorite to win this. He is the clear-cut favorite to win this award, and I'm going to take the clear-cut favorite to win this award.
I agreed with you here. We both have Aiden Hutchinson winning Comeback Player of the Year. If you look at the list, you go down, Aiden Hutchinson should be the clear-cut favorite. I'm surprised it's as close as it is with Dak. I thought about Christian McCaffrey maybe, but I'm still not really confident in that Niners offense. Trevor Lawrence, same thing. He's 50-50. He could play average. He could play horrible. He could play decent. I don't think J.J. McCarthy should be that high. Nick Chubb, all right. But then again, the odds are significantly worse compared to Aiden Hutchinson. And like you said, clear-cut favorite, he's going to have a monster season. The horrific injury last year that still is kind of scarring to remember and watch. But Hope the best for him, and he's going to have a great year and win this award.
Oh, you also picked Aiden Hutchinson. Okay, I didn't flip it yet, but now I flipped it. You also picked Aiden Hutchinson. Okay, I don't know what Ezra picked outside of one of them because he told me on accident, but I think it's the next one. But all right, here is the Offensive Player of the Year award odds.
Rookie.
Oh, Offensive Rookie of the Year award. I'm sorry. Ashton Genty, Cam Ward, Amorian Hampton, Travis Hunter, Travion Hendrickson, Tetron McMillan, Emeka Ibuke, Matthew Golden, and Jackson Dart all the way at the bottom. I'll tell you, I don't think unless Jackson Dart plays like week 3, I don't think he has a chance. But maybe he does play very early on, and we'll see. I think Matthew Golden has a really good shot at winning this award at plus 250. Same with Tet. Emeka, I wouldn't really count him as a award because he's got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin coming back pretty soon too. So Travion Hendrickson is a good option. Same with Travis Hunter, Mario Hampton, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty. I think are really good options at the top 5. My Offensive Rookie of the Year was Ashton Genty. I think it's the clear-cut favorite. I just think there's no other upside that is highest than Ashton Genty at this moment for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He'll get the most touches outside of maybe Cam Ward, who's going to, throw the ball every play. But I just don't think he's going to have the best rookie season this year. And I think Ashton Genty really is going to shine this year under the Raiders. And I think they'll do really good things there.
I took Travion Henderson. I will agree with you. Ashton Genty has the highest ceiling for offensive rookies, but I think in a struggling Vegas team who's in a tough division, I don't know how much success he's actually going to have and the numbers he's going to be able to put up. I think Travion Henderson, he showed it the preseason. He returned to kick off his first NFL touch ever. He's going to take that starting job away, and he's going to run away with the award.
I mean, listen, Travion Henderson, I just worry that they have some other backs. They still have Ramondre Stevenson. They still have other guys that they still really like. So I worry about that a little bit in terms of everything. But I think they'll be okay. I think Travion Henderson eventually will become the starter, and he'll be really good for them. I just don't think it will happen early enough where Ashton Genty is going to be the starter day 1, and everything will happen like that. What are you trying to do?
I misspelled his name. I forgot the E.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Defensive Player of the Year award: Abdul Carver, Travis Hunter, Jalen Walker, Mike Green, Jahad Campbell, Michael Williams, James Pierce, Mason Graham, Jahai Barron, and Malachi Starks. This is an interesting one here. Abdul Carter is the clear-cut favorite. This is probably the most clear-cut out of all of them. Out of all the awards so far, the most clear-cut. So, you got any thoughts on this, Ez, before we hop into our predictions?
I'm not going to spoil my pick because it is not Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter is the obvious favorite for a reason. He has the best odds. I just don't know how much success he's going to have compared to my pick, and I will get into that later. But I think if it's not Abdul Carter, anyone on this list has a good shot at it. It's just Abdul Carter has such a favorable team. He's going into that defensive line for the Giants. It's going to be incredible. All he has to do is put up good numbers. Like you said, you bet 10+ sacks this year. I think he's going to have a good year, but I think my pick is going to have a slightly better season.
That's pretty hard. Yeah, I'm going Abdul Carter. I think if you saw the last episode, you know I was going Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is a stud. I think this guy's going to have, again, 10+ sacks. I think he's better than Brian Burns. I think he's close to a top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. I think there's no way Abdul Carter loses this award. I really should have, comboed Abdul Carter and the 10+ sacks, and I would have been making bank, but I didn't. So, but it's okay. Ez, you went with Mason Graham. That's who I thought.
I did. I think having Myles Garrett by his side is going to be lethal, and they're going to be so consumed with having to deal with one of the best defensive players in the country that you're going to have Mason Graham getting 3 sacks, huge tackle for losses. He's going to put up numbers, and I think he's going to be a bit of a sneaky pick just because he's not going to be the best defensive player on his team. He's going to be Myles Garrett, but when you look at the numbers against Abdul Carter, it's going to be surprising how close this will come.
Yeah. see, I don't mind Mason Graham as a pick, but the problem is it's really hard for a defensive tackle to A, get a bunch of sacks, and B, it's a defensive tackle trying to win Defensive Player of the Year. Like, he has to be like a really freaking good he's got to be incredible really year one to really win this award.
Yeah, he's got to put up Aaron Donald numbers.
He's got to put up some real numbers if Abdul does get 10 plus sacks. I mean, he's got to put up some insane numbers. So, okay, I don't see it that one, but I could. Yeah, I really don't see where you're coming from because I just don't think that he's going to have anywhere as close to his year as Abdul Carter will, or even Travis Hunter, like some of the other guys in this, like Mike Green, Jalen Walker, Mikael Williams, James Pierce. Like, there's just so many guys on there that could get so much more sacks than Mason Graham. So I think that's an interesting one there. All right,
Coach. He jotted Barron, but I had to stick with my gut.
Coach of the Year. I'm not sure if these are the correct odds, but that's what it said they were, so I put them up there. Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, Kellen Moore, and Jim Harbaugh are the top 5 candidates to win this award this year. As what do we think on this award? I didn't really had honestly. My personal opinion was I had no idea where to go, so I kind of wanted to.
Yeah. So the odds I'm seeing are similar.
Yeah, probably.
Let me see.
No Andy Reid on here either. So that was an interesting one.
Which is surprising. All right, 2025 NFL Coach of the Year odds. Let me see your list. I mean, it's close.
Yeah, it's probably.
I was up in the air. I looked at your pick first, and I didn't want to take the same guy just because who likes a green? Come on. We have to be different. I went down this list and said, who has the least amount of expectation that could put up the best numbers? The highest ceiling, but you're not expecting them to go that high. And that's where I went with my pick. I do think it could go anywhere. It's going to literally be the team that you didn't expect them to have that great of a year, and they had a great year, and it came from all sides of the ball, all aspects of their playing, like not just one specific guy. Let's say the Cincinnati Bengals, you're expecting only Joe Burrow and maybe Jamar to succeed.
Yeah. All right, so my pick here for Coach of the Year was Jim Harbaugh. I really have no reasoning behind it outside of maybe they win the division and they have like a really good season and have like a really good record this year, the Chargers. But I don't know. I just thought I really have no explanation of here. I just didn't. I think your pick is the pick I should have gone with as. Who did you pick as?
I went with Kyle Shanahan. Like I said earlier, I don't think the Niners have high expectations, but they have a pretty easy schedule. Their ceiling's really high. They could take that division by 2-3 games and steal it from the Rams. I don't think they will, but they could. And that's why I went with the guy I went with, just because his odds aren't crazy. He's at plus 1,600. He's a very good coach. He has a good team. His roster isn't bad. We just talked about they have no depth.
Yeah. You know what? One of the guys I think that now really, who I'm looking back on now, Pete Carroll has a really good chance to win this award. Because he has a really bad roster. And like, if he gets them to 8 or 9, like 9 to 10 wins in a playoff like berth, like I could see if he gets to 9 to 10 wins and gets them to a playoff berth, I think it's Pete Carroll's award. Liam Cohen, if they turn the Jaguars around, yeah. Any of the top 4 coaches, if they turn it, first year coaches, they turn it around, they'll probably get the award. But I really think it's anybody's award. All right. Coach of the Year is done. Conference. Okay. I messed up here, but that's okay. Conference championship game predictions. I have your NFC up on the board. Eagles, Packers, but that's okay. You want to talk about that? How they get there before we get to mine?
Yeah. So
don't give your AFC. Just give your NFC.
That's fine. So just NFC. I have the Eagles and the Packers. I won't spoil your NFC picks, Oscar. I just don't have much hope in one of those teams. I think the Packers have a very tough division to begin with. Very competitive teams throughout the entire year. They're not that easy of a schedule either throughout the year. They're going to be battle tested. They are very playoff experienced. Last year they did all pretty well for just being a wild card team. I think they come out of the wild card and make some noise. I don't think they win a Super Bowl. I think they get close to it. And then the Eagles are the obvious pick here to go to the NFC Championship and or the Super Bowl. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the best team on paper. They should easily win the NFC. I don't really see any team stopping them.
All right. Here's my AFC Conference Championship prediction. I have Ravens Chiefs. I think the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. So I think that they will get there this year and they'll beat out Josh Allen, or they'll beat out Patrick. I think they'll beat out Josh Allen this year in that divisional game, how they usually match up. And then I think the Kansas City Chiefs, there's a high expectation every year for the Kansas City Chiefs to at least make it to the AFC Championship game. They made it the past, I think, 7-8 years now. So I think there's no chance they don't get there again. Patrick Mahomes is still on the team. They have a really deep receiving core now. Worried a little bit about their defense, the Chiefs, but I think they'll still be okay. I think this Ravens team is going to beat the Chiefs, though, at the end of the day, and they will advance to the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. I think they have the best secondary, one of the best pass rushes is in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, how are you going to stop that? Just worry about their receiving core a little bit like I have every year, but I still think the Ravens are that team this year. On to the NFC. I have the Rams versus Eagles going into the conference championship game. Look, I think the Rams are one of the best teams on paper. They have what it takes to be a Super Bowl contender this year. They have a veteran quarterback. They have great weapons, a compatible offensive line. And you know what? They also have a really young, good defense. And that's what it takes to win a Super Bowl nowadays. The Eagles, that's what they had last year. They had 2 rookie corners starting last year. That's what the Rams, the Rams are going to have a lot of, I worried a little bit about their corner depth, going into this year as well. But I think they're a very good team with a lot of young players, and that's why I'm taking them to pick them over the Eagles to go advance to the Super Bowl. Let's take it to your AFC Championship game, which is Bills-Ravens.
It is. I took the ballsy play here and did not have the Chiefs making it to the AFC Championship, which, in all honesty, should not happen. But I think this year is the year it does happen. I think both the Bills and Ravens are extremely talented teams. I think some way, somehow, one of those guys, whether it's Josh Allen or Lamar, they're going to beat Mahomes and prevent Mahomes from making it to the AFC Championship game. I do have the Bills coming out on top against the Ravens to advance the Super Bowl. I think the game will be played in Buffalo, and it's going to be a very close game back and forth, but I think the Bills' defense will win them that game in a very close shootout. And then for my NFC side, the Eagles-Packers, in a shocker, I have the Packers advancing to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I know. Shay is not here, and the Packers are still going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. We would make this up if I told him that Ezra picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Shay wouldn't believe it, but
I don't think Shay would believe it. All right, let's move on here to our Super Bowl game. Well, you have the Bills as your winner, but we'll get to that in a sec. As let's talk about my Super Bowl game here: Rams, Ravens. I have the Rams winning the Super Bowl this year. I think this is Matthew Stafford's last year, and I think this is it. I think he gets another. I think he gets 2, turns into one of the top. You're going to talking about as the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think how do we get here? I think the Rams. I just talked about them having a really good defense, and I think that their defense will just get better and better this year with the guys they have. The Ravens here, I think they have a really good defense and offense. Both these teams are really well-rounded, and I think, it's going to come down to which quarterback plays better, and I'll take Matthew Stafford in this big game up against the Ravens. Listen, am I confident in it? No, it's a Super Bowl pick. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's really hard to pick a Super Bowl winner every year, But at the same time, I think the Rams have what it takes this year to win a Super Bowl. They have the great head coach. They have a great quarterback, a young defense, great weapons. I think they have everything you need to win a Super Bowl this year. That's why my pick is the Los Angeles Rams to win the Super Bowl. Ez, what do you think about that?
I'm not mad. I just think it's a bit of a reach on the pick itself. If you look at the odds of who's favored to win the Super Bowl, you have the Bills and Ravens. The Bills and Ravens are pretty much the same. The Eagles are close behind. The Chiefs are fairly close. And then it drops off a little bit. You have Lions, Packers, Commanders, 49ers and then the Rams. So
I
for me,
saw Rams,
with the
I saw
Rams,
Commander Rams, but it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, okay, they're all plus 2,000.
Yeah.
For me, looking and seeing the Rams have the same odds as the 49ers, when, yes, I understand the Packers and the Lions are in the same division. But for me, as a Super Bowl winner and having a team in your division having the same odds, I think it says something right then and there that, hey, the 49ers have a good shot this year. Maybe not to go that far. I don't think they will. But to give some trouble to the Rams to even have the Rams go to that far, make it to the Super Bowl. I like your pick in the sense of they're one of the most well-rounded teams out there. I just don't think they have what it takes to go the distance this year.
Bills Packers, as you have the Bills winning it all. Explain that.
I do.
This one here.
I think this is the year Josh Allen finally gets it done. And the Buffalo area will burn down probably, but I think the Packers kind of run out of steam, and their quote-unquote Super Bowl was beating the Eagles in that NFC Championship. I still think this is a pretty good game, but the Bills run away with it in the end. Their defense is going to hold them in games. Their offense is going to keep rolling and doing their thing. Josh Allen won't be able to be stopped, and that's part of the reason why I have him as my NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP.
So you have it all. You have the Bills.
I do.
You have Josh Allen winning the MVP. You have the Bills winning the Super Bowl. Bills Mafia finally gets one against the Packers here.
Mm-hmm.
I listen. It'll be interesting to see if the Bills will be able to finally pull it off and beat the Chiefs. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't think they'll be able to. I mean, they've shown time and time again that they cannot beat the Chiefs, whatever it is. I mean, they can't do it. And I think. I don't think they're the team to do it. I think I'll take the Ravens over the Chiefs, but I think the Ravens got to get past the Bills this year to be able to beat the Chiefs, right? And I think they'll be able to do that this year. So I you know what? Listen, it's just one of those things. Like, it's a cycle. The Ravens can beat the Chiefs, but the Ravens can't beat the Bills. The Bills can beat the Ravens, but they can't beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs can't beat the Ravens, but the Chiefs can beat the Bills. And somehow the Chiefs always find a way against the Bills, even though the Chiefs did beat the Ravens one time in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. So I get it. I think I look at this and I think, this is pretty good. These are pretty good Super Bowl matches. Mine's a little more out there than yours. Yours is, I think, a little bit less out there. I think yours has a better, maybe a better shot than mine. As a prediction, the Bills definitely have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, I think, than the Rams. But I'm just going to throw it out on them this year that the Rams win it.
I like how bold your pick was. It was pretty interesting to see that. I know you're high on the Rams this year. I took literally the safest pick possible. It's the two teams that are the highest favorites to win the Super Bowl, playing each other in the Super Bowl. But we'll see. It's going to come down to the matchup like we talked about. I'm sorry, the Packers are not, but the Bills are literally the Super Bowl favorite. It's going to come down to, can they get past either Baltimore or Kansas City?
Yeah, I worry here for the Packers just a little bit about like their lack of their lack of receiving core. Their edge room is pretty weak. So I worry about the Packers, especially when their roster isn't the most talented when it comes to, your versing to this team, but they do have a really good head coach and a really good quarterback. Again, that's a lot that goes really, really far in the NFL. And I think there's just a couple other teams that are better than the Packers at that stuff. Like I think the Rams, I think the Eagles are, the Commanders aren't really better than them at where their roster needs to be. I think the Packers have a better roster than the Commanders, but when you look at the Pack, like I think the Lions have a better roster than them. I just think there's so many teams that have a better roster than the Packers to get to the Super Bowl. That's just why I it's hard to see the Packers get there.
I'm not disagreeing. I just think their season, they're going to have a lot of things fall into the right place and somehow wiggle their way to the Super Bowl. Similar to how you have the Rams making it all the way, even though the Rams roster is better than the Packers, a lot of things have to go right for the Rams to not only beat the Eagles, but to make it out of their division, make it out of the first and second round, and then be able to go against and beat the Eagles will not be easy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ez, that's it for today. I appreciate you for coming on. We'll have our predictions. We'll go back and look at the end, when this all season's all said and done, we'll take a look and, we'll see what happened. And we're like, damn, we weren't even close, or damn, we were really close. So we'll go back and take a look at that before the end of the year. Thanks for hopping on today. I appreciate it very much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And we will see you guys next time.